to the Rockbound Post and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Today on Good Morning Maine, a shooting in Waterville has left one man dead and one man behind bars.
Plus, we'll let you know how you can stay safe against a silent killer in your home.
And some real heroes were given a special medal in Eddington following a daring rescue last winter. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday morning. We'll have those stories and more coming up. But first, a check of the forecast. Looking like a rather cloudy day ahead today. But once we get through today, it looks like bright sunshine for the next several days. Things will be warming up a little bit too.
Yeah, Friday especially. It looks beautiful. Here's Conrad Sapinski with that forecast.
Our first weather this morning is brought to you by Comfort Shoes and More. Need the perfect fit for your new fall footwear? Visit us across from Irving in Newport. And a chilly start to the day all over the region. Look at this, cold temperatures all the way down south. Little Rock, Nashville, even into Atlanta, Georgia. We're looking at mid-40s to start out the day. Look at New York City, 46 degrees yesterday, game 2 of the postseason. Let's go Yankees, but a chilly one out there. And we're not done with those chilly temperatures just yet. We're looking at even some 20s. Some low 20s into Wisconsin and into southern parts of Minnesota. So chilly, right? A little bit of a cooler start to our start to the day, right? 39 degrees here in town, 39 right by Rockland. Bar Harbor into Machias, you're at 41 degrees. Look at Greenville, pockets of some really cold there in the most northern parts of the state, right about there. Mid-30s outside. So yes, it's feeling cold. Make sure you have your layers on. Now, we do have some freeze watches that have been issued. Also, of course, some small craft advisories in effect till around 5 p.m. later on this afternoon. But overall, though, a few passing clouds out there. We're not looking at any snow, any rainfall anytime soon. We're actually just going to see sunshine the next several days. For today, though, partly cloudy, a little bit breezy outside. Temperatures right around 51 degrees. It's going to feel like we're back in the 40s because of that breeze. For tonight, though, low 30s, so cooler start, a lot colder than what we're experiencing right now. Clear skies, some dense fog in the area, and a little bit of a wind, making it feel like we're back in the 20s. For tomorrow, though, upper 50s, so we're on a good trend, right? Warming up, sunny skies once again. Our hour-by-hour forecast does show clouds in the area, but overall, though, partly cloudy. Temperatures warming back up to around 50 degrees.
Thank you, Conrad. We'll have a look at that full 5-day forecast a little later on. Well, first thing this morning, one man is dead and another is charged with murder following an apparent shooting in Waterville. It happened early Tuesday morning in the parking lot of Mount Joseph on Highwood Street. Investigators are now trying to determine what led to the violence. Our Grace Blanchard has the details.
Can't believe it happened. It's crazy. Especially right down the road from your house, you know?
A heavy police presence was seen on Highwood Street Tuesday as police worked to piece together the events surrounding a shooting that left one person dead.
I was outside with my daughter's dog in the parking lot right here on Highwood Street. And I heard bang. I knew it was a gunshot and cringed for a minute. And I looked, and then bang, 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 4 more shots. Looked over, I heard a car horn, but I did not realize that car had just been shot at. And I saw a guy take off for running.
Police responded to the parking lot of Mount Joseph around 6:30 a.m. where they found a deceased male inside a vehicle. The victim has been identified as 47-year-old Stephen Killam of Fairfield.
I come back in my cab, and I seen a police car's had his roadblock down there. The cars were all over the place. And I look in the parking lot, I see a blue car, doors open, driver's side window smashed out.
Police say witnesses reported seeing a black Chevrolet pickup truck leaving the scene. A few hours later, police were able to locate the driver. 53-year-old Richard Hadd of Clinton has been arrested and charged with murder. The incident has left residents in shock and on edge.
It's hard. You don't want to go back outside in a hurry, I'll tell you that.
Officials say Killam and Hatt were known to each other. Anyone with information is being asked to contact the Waterville Police Department or Maine State Police. In Waterville, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, meanwhile, around 100 victims, survivors, and family members of those lost in the October 25th Lewiston mass shooting gathered in Lewiston on Tuesday to announce federal lawsuits for what they say were missed signs that could have possibly prevented that tragedy. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bichard has that story.
Family members of the victims and survivors of the Lewiston mass shooting announced on Tuesday that are filing legal action against the United States Army.
We are announcing today that we have served a legal claim on the federal government for the failures of the federal government and the Army Reserve and the Army medical providers to have taken steps that would have prevented this mass shooting.
According to Ben Gideon and Travis Brennan, two lawyers representing around 100 victims, survivors, and family members affected by the October 25th Lewiston mass shooting, there were 3 times in which the Army Reserve failed to act that could have possibly prevented the tragedy from occurring. One of those times was in May 2023, when the Army first became aware of his declining mental status from Robert Card's son. The second being his July hospitalization in a mental health facility near West Point. And the third being the threats made by Card to fellow Army reservists that were scared he was going to snap and commit a mass shooting.
Despite all those warning signs, and despite the recommendation from Robert Card's medical providers that he be separated from his firearms, the Army broke that promise and failed to do that.
Gideon says their lawsuit will also address how the Army Reserve failed Robert Card. Family members who lost their loved ones shared their thoughts on what they say are missed red flags.
As terrible as the shooting was, it's even more tragic that there were many opportunities to prevent this.
It's impossible to know whether this tragedy could have been prevented, but obviously there are several steps that could have been taken to prevent this tragedy.
Lawyers say they expect this case could take up to a few years to get resolved in the courts. In Lewiston, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The city of Bangor plans to close a homeless encampment by the end of the year. The city manager sent a memo to city staff announcing the homeless encampment behind the Hope House will be shut down by December 31st. According to the Bangor Daily, outreach workers plan to work with people living there to make sure they all have a place to live. City officials say the move was prompted by an alarming increase in illegal activity and violence at the camp. You can see a copy of the city's plan on Bangor's official city website. The city council plans to discuss the plan tonight during a workshop.
Well, 2 people in Bedford, New Hampshire were found dead in their home on Sunday night. While the cause of death is still under investigation, officials with the state's Department of Safety suspect that a common household issue that is sometimes called the silent killer is to blame. Our Doug Banks spoke with Bangor's assistant fire chief to share how folks can stay safe in their own homes.
On Sunday, Bedford, New Hampshire's fire and police department responded to a medical call. Upon arrival, they found a male and female dead inside the home. An official cause of death has not been released. However, following a preliminary investigation conducted by the New Hampshire State Fire Marshal's Office and the Bedford Police Department, they indicate carbon monoxide was at least a factor.
Well, the biggest thing is that it's just odorless, colorless, and it'll just sneak up on you. You'll have no idea what's going on. You may just think all of a sudden you're tired, fall asleep, and unfortunately there's cases where people just don't wake up.
Assistant Chief Hodge says this can be caused by running equipment such as generators or combustion tools, emitting carbon monoxide gas inside or too close to a person's house.
Or they've got something inside the house that normally gets vented out, and there's a problem with that ventilation, or there's a problem with the actual, say, the furnace or something like that.
He advises following manufacturers' recommendations, conduct regular maintenance checks, and always have working carbon monoxide detectors. They are available in many stores and online.
They're very inexpensive and they could absolutely save your life.
The latest safety recommendations can be found by contacting agencies like the Red Cross, the National Fire Protection Agency, or your local fire department. He says when it comes to protecting yourself and your loved ones, they are happy to help.
If you ever need anybody to come and check, if you feel that there's a problem, call the fire department. We will come. We've got gas monitors that'll detect that. And we have no problem coming and checking if you have any concerns.
In Bangor, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The PFAS Fund Advisory Committee is looking for public feedback on the next phase of the fund's implementation. The advisory committee was established by the Maine legislature to oversee and recommend how to use the $60 million in it. The committee is inviting Maine residents, especially farmers affected by PFAS, to share their insights, concerns, and experiences. Since the fund went into effect in March, several initiatives have been launched, including financial aid for impacted farmers and a process to purchase PFAS-contaminated farmland from farmers at a fair market value. A public meeting is being held October 24th from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. at Deering 101, 90 Blossom Lane in Augusta. You can also participate virtually.
Health officials are expanding the number of grocery store chains impacted by a massive meat recall linked to listeria concerns. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says Walmart, Target, Kroger, 7-Eleven, and Aldi are now included in its list of stores that carried potentially contaminated pre-cooked meat from producer Bruce Pack. Last week, the agency announced a recall of nearly 10 million pounds of ready-to-eat meat and poultry. The recall includes products from several brands, from frozen foods to sandwiches and wraps. No illnesses linked to the recall have been reported. The agency warns consumers to throw away or return the recalled products.
All right, the time now is 6:11. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, 4 men honored after the harrowing save of 2 people who fell through the ice. We'll take you to the ceremony.
But first, another check of that weather forecast. Today will be a partly cloudy day, breezy too, with highs near 51 degrees. Things really cooling off tonight. It will be clear with lows dropping down to the low 30s. Tomorrow, a beautiful sunny day on the way with highs near 58. We'll be right back.
With Chevy trucks, be ready for adventure. With power you can count on. Capability that doesn't compromise. A hard-working EV with more range than any competitor and the potential to take you anywhere. Qualified Chevy lessees can lease this Silverado for around $359 a month. Visit your Maine Chevy dealers.
When you're ready to tackle your next building project, depend on the knowledge and experience of Hammond Lumber Company. Hammond's Home Planning Center will turn your ideas into accurate conceptual drawings, and 3D visualization is available. Your Hammond sales rep will prepare a materials list and cost estimate. And when you buy all of your materials from them, Hammond will refund all of your design fees. Hammond can deliver your order from any of their 22 locations across Maine and New Hampshire. Hammond Lumber Company, your building project partner since 1953.
Put a little more cash in your bank. Save money with half-off deals at foxbangor.com.
This is the People's Court.
What were you doing with binoculars looking into her yard? That's creepy as hell.
It's rough, it's tough, and we just can't get enough.
You're both total liars.
Real litigants, real cases, real drama. The People's Court.
On ABC 7.
Well, it was almost 8 months ago when 3 men and 1 teenager saved the lives of 2 women when their ATV broke through the ice and subsequently fell into the sub-freezing waters of Chimo Pond. Ever since that cold February day in Clifton, those 2 women never saw their 4 rescuers again until last night. On Tuesday night, they all reunited at the Eddington Fire Station for an award ceremony honoring the 4 who sprang into action when it was needed the most. Joshua Gunn, James Butterfield, Steve Armenia, and his 17-year-old son Jimmy were each awarded the Marine Corps League Heroism Medal. And the ones who put the pins upon the 4 were the 2 women they saved, Wanda Libby and Katie Honey.
I'm very appreciative of it. We didn't expect anything like this. We just did that to help the ladies.
Yeah.
We could have fallen in actually, that freezing water, so it was pretty nice to get a pin for that, and especially get it put on by the lady that we pulled out, that was nice.
Putting that pin on them just made me feel just grateful, a little bit overwhelmed, thankful.
There really wasn't much of a coordination. Steve and I just looked at each other and we just thought both the same thing at the same time, and we immediately ran over there and helped them get out of the water.
It was just super surreal, and they were amazing. They had a way of calming you down, even though they were screaming at us. It was a way, okay, somebody's here, you know what I mean? You just felt everything was going to be okay.
It's a miracle that they all survived, to be honest with you. And that's what made them, deserving of this award tonight.
Well, according to DuMont, the medals each of the men received last night was the very first 4 issued for and approved by the National Commandant.
A reminder that ABC and Fox 22 has partnered with the American Red Cross to do our part in helping those impacted by Hurricanes Helene and Milton. Those recovery efforts are massive and really just beginning. And from what the Red Cross has told us that they're hearing, it is even worse on the ground than people think. Entire communities in North Carolina have been swept away, infrastructure has been wiped out, and people are in need of the most basic necessities. Things you and I take for granted. Florida has also endured a devastating couple of weeks thanks to Helene and Milton. We want to help ensure that the Red Cross has the resources it needs to continue its life-saving work, letting folks know that they're not alone. Scan the QR code on your screen right now to donate to the Red Cross hurricane relief efforts. Every little bit counts.
And we'll have much more on how people are faring a little bit later on in the broadcast. Meanwhile, a unique partnership is bringing the Waterville community together this week to share in a Jewish holiday known as Sukkot. It's one of the most important holidays in the Jewish calendar that marks the end of the harvest season with communal gatherings. One central feature is the building of a sukkah, a temporary hut that is roofed with natural foliage. The City of Waterville has partnered with the Beth Israel congregation in Waterville and Waterville Creates to build a sukkah right in downtown for the community to gather in. Sanborn says this is the only municipal sukkah in the U.S. It's located in the square next to City Hall and will be open to the public starting today. To learn more about other events planned for the week-long holiday, you can visit our website at foxbangor.com. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. All right, the time now is 6:16. After the break, just days after Hurricane Milton hit the coast of Florida, the community is coming together to help clean up, even as the death toll rises.
We'll take you inside the cleanup as Good Morning Maine continues.
I'll always put people over politics, protect Social Security, and fight to lower costs. But that's not enough. I'll stand up to the extremes, oppose those who want to ban abortion nationwide, and stop those on the far left who want an open border. They play games while Mainers struggle. People over politics means restoring balance to Washington, putting aside our differences, and doing what's right for you.
Austin Terrio for Congress.
I'm Austin Terrio, and I approve this message.
As temperatures drop, fall colors emerge. Reds, yellows, and of course, Kubota Orange. Forget the greens and make your neighbors orange with envy with a new Kubota tractor from Doors Equipment in Bangor. Get your work done right with Kubota and Doors. From home to farm, from landscaping to construction, the Doors are open to value, quality, and top-notch service. This fall, make them orange with envy at Doors Equipment, Outer Hammond Street, Bangor.
Backed by popular demand, the Lucerne Inn in Dedham presents its amazing Sunday brunch. Join us every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. for a culinary experience like no other. Indulge in an exquisite selection of dishes, all while enjoying breathtaking views. Seating is limited, so reservations are recommended, but walk-ins are always welcome. The Lucerne Inn Sunday Brunch, where great food meets a spectacular view. Call today to reserve your spot.
The death toll continues to rise following Hurricane Milton in Florida. Fox Weather is reporting at least 23 people are now confirmed dead in connection to the storm.
This is on top of the more than 200 lost during Hurricane Helene 2 weeks ago. Those numbers could keep rising as recovery efforts continue in Florida and in North Carolina. Fox News correspondent Marianne Rafferty has the story.
I know they got a lot of stuff to get to, though, so I'm kind of trying to be patient.
People aren't going to forget this one, and we got to clean up quick before the next one happens.
Street by street, a sense of normalcy returning to Florida counties hit hard by Hurricane Milton last week. Crews working around the clock to clear storm debris. The governor even awarding $500,000 to several nonprofits to help with the effort.
Now, through the disaster fund, we've been able to cut red tape and provide free muck and gut services, free debris removal, free tarping, free temporary home fixes.
It's a daunting task, which officials warn could take up to a year to complete, especially since floodwaters have yet to recede in some areas. At the same time, more than 90% of homes and businesses now have power, though thousands still remain in the dark. More gas stations are also up and running, along with schools.
49 of the 50 school districts that experienced closures last week have reopened today. Hillsborough will open soon.
Helene Recovery in North Carolina also making progress. FEMA resumed its door-to-door visits after temporarily suspending them over reports of threats to staff.
We are not going anywhere. We have over 2,000 people from the federal family in North Carolina, and misinformation will not deter us from our mission of helping people, period.
Despite the progress, officials warn a full recovery from both storms won't be easy and may end up costing billions of dollars. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
All right, the time now is 6:20.
Let's get a full look at our weather forecast.
Our main weather this morning is brought to you by Comfort Shoes and More. Need the perfect fit for your new fall footwear? Visit us across from Irving in Newport. All right, let's look at this temperature trend right in it, right? 58 degrees, that's our average high this time of year. Well below average for today, closer to average for tomorrow, and then right back up. Check this out, my friends. Temperatures back in those mid to upper 60s, not only Saturday and Sunday, but even into beginning to middle of next week. So yes, we're looking at a consistent trend of well above average temperatures. It's going to feel more like summer, right? Beginning of summer with temperatures right around 70 degrees and lots of sunshine. Now the water temperatures, they're not even close to 70 degrees. They're really starting to cool off. 55 right off our coast as well, especially right off Portland. These colors right there indicating some low to mid 50s, but things are going to continue to cool off. Of course, we're in mid-October, we're in Maine, and winter is knocking on our door. Now, overall, though, most of the country is pretty quiet for today. Of course, a couple of showers right down south, closer to Florida and closer to Raleigh as well. We're looking at some lighter showers. Now, the West Coast, they're seeing another low pressure system right here. They're seeing some showers outside, but for the most part, most of the country is pretty quiet. Of course, no severe weather, no nocturnal storms, which is the most important thing not to have, right? Overall, though, good amount of clouds outside in our area. No snow, no rain anytime soon. We're just going to see that sunshine the next several days. Now, of course, the rainfall-wise, though, not much at all. Maybe a few more sprinkles left over or some flurries right up north into Greenville and north of that, right at that border of Canada. Other than that, we are going to be dry, very dry, starting today. Now, the winds are pretty light, right around 5 to 10 miles per hour. 3 mile per hour solid wind here in town. Same story right at the coast in Bar Harbor, but later on this afternoon, they are really going to start to pick up. We're looking at wind gusts right around 20 to even 30 miles per hour in some spots. So definitely a breezy type of day. Overnight, pretty calm. And then tomorrow, once again, just a light breeze. So today's that day where we are going to see those breezy conditions, making it feel a little bit more cooler than the actual 51-degree reading. Now, other than that, partly cloudy skies. So not too bad, right? For tonight, though, cold. I'm saying low 30s outside, frost and freeze. Clear areas of dense fog once again, just a light breeze. For tomorrow, though, much warmer, upper 50s, sunny skies, and just a light breeze out of the west, northwest. Our extended forecast outlook is showing an abundance amount of sunshine the next several days, and temperatures, oh boy, look at that, warming back up into those mid to upper 60s over the weekend.
They say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Well, they are correct.
Especially when it's the irresistible steak, egg, and cheese bagel sandwich. Get yours today.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message.
A 13-year-old girl was raped in Mississippi, but anti-abortion extremists passed a law that forced her to carry the pregnancy to term.
They have no right. It's horrifying.
Absolutely horrific.
Abel.
Now the same thing could happen in every state. Austin Terrio is on the side of extremists that want to ban abortion nationwide.
Even for rape, no matter how young the victim.
I think they're out of their minds.
They're going to try to control women. It's absolutely nuts.
After an accident, the insurance company often wants to rush you into accepting their fair offer. Don't sign away your rights.
I didn't trust the insurance company.
They were wanting to settle fast and cheap.
How much is your case worth? It's probably worth more than you've been told.
I called Joe.
I found out what my case was really worth.
Say yes to maximum compensation, to everything you deserve. Call the firm that has been getting justice for Mainers for 50 years.
Tell them you mean business.
At WKIT in the 90s, things were a little different.
Now we take The Rock very seriously. Still clowning around decades later. 100.3 WKIT. WKIT HD, Brewer, Bangor.
If you have to ask why it's important to start your day early, here's your answer.
Get any size iced coffee in any flavor for just $1.29 during breakfast hours.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back, everyone. While politicians and diplomats debate, both Israeli soldiers and Hezbollah fighters continue to fight one another. Fox's Greg Palcott has the story from Haifa, Israel.
No place too distant or too near to be hit by the war here. In a northern Lebanon Christian town, an Israeli attack targeting Hezbollah leaves 21 dead. On a highway in southern Israel, an armed terrorist kills a policeman and wounds others before he's killed. And in front of our Fox position, Israel's port city of Haifa saw a wave of 20 Hezbollah rockets. All appear intercepted by Israeli Iron Dome defenses.
Since the Israeli enemy targeted all of Lebanon, we have the right, from a defensive position, to target any point in the Israeli enemy's entity.
Similar words from Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, reflecting on the deadly Hezbollah drone attack on an Israeli military base this week.
I want to make it clear, we will continue to hit Hezbollah mercilessly in all parts of Lebanon.
And new concerns about the U.S. defending Israel against all comers, including Iran. The initial components of the anti-missile THAAD system arrived in Israel with an advance team of U.S. military personnel. 100 American soldiers will operate it. Some fear they're in harm's way.
This is not meant to draw us into a larger regional conflict. It is a commitment that the president made that we will be there to stand in Israel's self-defense.
As tensions build between UN peacekeepers and Israeli troops in southern Lebanon, as many as 5 UN soldiers have been hurt recently. This week, several European countries branded Israel's actions a violation of international law. Overnight, Netanyahu called for the UN to simply get out of harm's way. In Haifa, Israel, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
Walgreens announcing massive amounts of store closures in the wake of similar actions by Rite Aid and CVS. Fox News' Chris DeMeo takes a look at the possible consequences and what economists say can be done to inject new life into remaining stores.
The walls are closing in on Walgreens. The pharmacy giant announcing Tuesday it plans to shutter roughly 1,200 locations over the next 3 years, citing competition with online retailers and drops in prescription drug reimbursement.
I think one of the biggest challenges is really economic pressure on the prescription business. I think reimbursements have really gone down, and it's much more difficult to make money from that segment.
Walgreens expects to close around 500 stores over the next year. Nearly 1 in 7 Walgreens currently open will cease to exist by 2027.
Drugstores have increasingly become destinations for nothing because a lot of the things that we used to use them for, convenience top-up purchases for general merchandise, a few beauty things here and there for prescriptions, you can now do those things online or at many other retailers like dollar stores.
But Walgreens isn't alone. Since filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy last year, Rite Aid has closed hundreds of stores. CVS, meanwhile, is working to wrap up a 3-year plan to phase out 900 locations.
Are we going to get ourselves into a situation where we have, for lack of a better word, pharmacy deserts, where there's, sort of geographic regions in the U.S. when they don't have ready access to a local pharmacy?
Marketing experts say pharmacies need to adapt their business models, highlighting common gripes, causing a decline in loyalty among customers.
One is it's difficult to shop. Locked up items, out of stocked items, understaffed stores. And then secondly, just the prices are high.
Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
A judge allows lawsuits over social media addiction against Meta to head to court. The decision by an Oakland, California district judge follows the social media company's bid to throw out 2 lawsuits, including one from more than 30 states. The lawsuits claim Meta enables mental health problems in teen users by making its apps addictive. The judge added limits to the case where federal law allows the company to be partly shielded, while also rejecting motions from Meta and other social media companies to dismiss personal injury lawsuits related to that case.
Boost your heart and save your brain. That's the takeaway from a new scientific statement recently published by the American Heart Association. According to the authors, emerging evidence shows the heart and brain, once considered unrelated organ systems, are more interdependent and linked than previously known. The findings suggest boosting cardiovascular health earlier in life might also reduce the risk of cognitive impairment in the future. The AHA statement went on to say having coronary heart disease raises the risk of future dementia by 27%, compared with people without heart disease. As for key lifestyle factors that boost brain health, getting plenty of sleep, eating healthy foods, and physical exercise.
I'm in trouble.
I don't think you're alone. A lot of people experience those issues.
So true.
Yeah.
Things we can all work on.
Right. All right, coming up on the second half of the newscast, Halloween is just around the corner, and for the town of Bucksport, that means their annual Ghost Port Festival.
We'll tell you all about it as Good Morning Maine continues.
The Farmer's Table in Corinna brings you outstanding breakfasts, lunches, and dinners made from farm-grown fresh ingredients. Dinner specials are available every day. Enjoy our homemade desserts, and above all, bring your appetite to the Farmer's Table in Corinna.
Tonight, what would you do if you saw this happen?
Can I help you find anything?
Do you actually work here?
Yeah, I do.
I just need somebody a little more normal.
You're not normal. Nobody is this rude.
What would you do? Tonight at 10/9 Central on ABC.
When you're ready to tackle your next building project, depend on the knowledge and experience of Hammond Lumber Company. Hammond's Home Planning Center will turn your ideas into accurate conceptual drawings, and 3D visualization is available. Your Hammond sales rep will prepare a materials list and cost estimate. And when you buy all of your materials from them, Hammond will refund all of your design fees. Hammond can deliver your order from any of their 22 locations across Maine and New Hampshire. Hammond Lumber Company, your building project partner since 1953.
Me and my co-workers get up and we go into work every day. Yet illegal immigrants in this state are getting things handed to them for free. Jared Golden voted to protect sanctuary cities instead of voting to help his own people. Jared Golden pretends to be a moderate, but he's not. Washington has exposed Jared Golden for what he truly is, a tax and spend, liberal, Democrat. He says one thing and does another.
Strategic Majority PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
The vanity is a robin's egg blue.
This looks yellow.
It's blue.
I could take a poll in here. Does that look blue? Doesn't look blue.
Hot Bench.
Wednesday at 3 on ABC 7. The Farmer's Table in Corinna brings you outstanding breakfasts, lunches, and dinners made from farm-grown fresh ingredients. Dinner specials are available every day. Enjoy our homemade desserts, and above all, bring your appetite to the Farmer's Table in Corinna.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back, everyone. Today is Wednesday, October 16th, 2024, and it is also National Bosses Day.
This is a holiday to celebrate the people who keep us gainfully employed. This holiday was created in 1958 as a way to improve office relationships between supervisors and employees and to recognize all the hard work bosses put into their jobs. After all, the operations of entire businesses and departments are shouldered by dedicated bosses, and this is a day to recognize them for all they do.
It's tough being the boss.
Right.
It really is.
Psychically hearing a lot of sighs.
Yeah.
But, you know, when they're good, they're great.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah.
I've had both over my career. So.
Right, absolutely.
Thank goodness for the good ones.
Right, so if you can really appreciate yours, I think show them a little appreciation. That would go a long way.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Right.
All right. On this day in history, back in 1829, the very first modern hotel in America opened up in Boston. The Tremont Hotel had 170 rooms that rented for just $2 a day and also included 4 meals. Can you imagine that today?
4?
4 meals. They'll feed you everything you need.
That's my preferable amount of meals.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Me too. And some snacks thrown in too. All right, in 1859, radical abolitionist John Brown led a raid on the U.S. arsenal at Harper's Ferry in West Virginia. In 1923, Walt Disney and his brother Roy created the Disney Brothers Cartoon Studio in Hollywood. Now known as the Walt Disney Company, it went on to have a huge impact on the entertainment industry and is now one of the largest media companies in the entire world.
Right.
In 1958, Chevrolet introduced the El Camino, kind of a half pickup truck, half car kind of thing.
Love them.
They're so cool, and now they're kind of highly coveted. People
Yeah.
are getting them and taking them to car shows and that kind of thing.
They're so cool.
Yeah, I had a friend in high school who had one, and he babied that thing.
Right.
You know.
Oh, was it in Texas?
It was down in Texas.
I know, it's kind of more of a southern thing.
Yeah, I bet he still has it to this day, you know. So,
yeah,
anyway.
they last. Everyone, whenever I see one, it is kind of a neck turn, a head turner.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't brought that back, some modern version of the El Camino.
I know.
But, you know,
Right.
I have to talk to them.
Yeah, the Camaros and the Chargers are a thing now.
Right.
In 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis began after U.S. spy planes discovered Soviet missile bases in Cuba. That's kind of the big one of today.
Yeah.
In 1968, American runners Tommy Smith and John Carlos sparked controversy when they raised their fists in the Black Power salute during the Olympic Games in Mexico. They did so as part of a protest about human rights, claiming they had to be seen because they couldn't be heard. In 1987, the nation cheered after rescuers pulled 18-month-old Jessica McClure from an abandoned well in Texas. Baby Jessica had been stuck for more than 2 days.
That was just incredible, too. I remember when that was happening, it was just like a little pipe leading down to the ground, and this little girl was very deep, and it was a big, involved rescue effort to get her out, and everybody was just so relieved when she was alive and well.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll have to Google that one.
Yeah.
In 1995, a huge crowd of mostly African-American men demonstrated on the National Mall in Washington. The Million Man March was driven by the desire to see Congress act in the interest of African Americans and to combat negative stereotypes of black men.
All right, for birthdays today, they include singer John Mayer, who is 47 years old today. Rocker Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers is 62.
Great photo.
I just love that photo of him. You know, he's such a character.
Yeah.
And actor Tim Robbins, who I just think is incredible, is 66 years old today. Loved him in Shawshank Redemption and so many other great films.
Very talented folks.
Yeah.
All right, moving on now. It's gearing up to be a beautiful weekend. I know it's only Wednesday, but with that forecast, we can already start thinking about it.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
It's going to be perfect, Emma.
It's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Here's Conrad Zapinski with that forecast.
Our first weather this morning is brought to you by Comfort Shoes and More. Need the perfect fit for your new fall footwear? Visit us across from Irving in Newport. And a chilly start to the day all over the region. Look at this, cold temperatures all the way down south. Little Rock, Nashville, even into Atlanta, Georgia. We're looking at mid-40s to start out the day. Look at New York City, 46 degrees yesterday, game 2 of the postseason. Let's go Yankees, but a chilly one out there, and we're not done with those chilly temperatures just yet. We're looking at even some 20s, some low 20s into Wisconsin and into southern parts of Minnesota. So chilly, right? A little bit of a cooler start to our start to the day, right? 39 degrees here in town, 39 right by Rockland. Bar Harbor into Machias, you're at 41 degrees. Look at Greenville, pockets of some really cold there in the most northern parts of the state, right about there. Mid-30s outside, so yes, it's feeling cold. Make sure you have your layers on. Now, we do have some freeze watches that have been issued. Also, of course, some small craft advisories in effect till around 5 p.m. later on this afternoon. But overall, though, a few passing clouds out there. We're not looking at any snow, any rainfall anytime soon. We're actually just going to see sunshine the next several days. For today, though, partly cloudy, a little bit breezy outside. Temperatures right around 51 degrees. It's going to feel like we're back in the 40s because of that breeze. For tonight, though, low 30s, so cooler start, a lot colder than what we're experiencing right now. Clear skies, some dense fog in the area, and a little bit of a wind, making it feel like we're back in the 20s. For tomorrow, though, upper 50s, so we're on a good trend, right? Warming up, sunny skies once again. Our hour-by-hour forecast does show clouds in the area, but overall, though, partly cloudy. Temperatures warming back up to around 50 degrees.
It's going to be perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect weekend coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Conrad. Well, this weekend, downtown Bucksport will transform into a wicked world for the community's annual Ghostport Festival. The free event will kick off at 10 Saturday morning and feature attractions for all ages, including the newly added Trick or trivia, and a wandering magician, play on words there. Volunteer Emily Fitzgerald says organizers anticipate this year to be the biggest and spookiest one yet.
If you come down here at 10, you'll see the parade. It's adorable. You have all kinds of costumes and kids walking down the street. A flood of them will head into a tent over at the Historical Society parking lot for a brunch with the witches.
The event will conclude at 10 p.m. with a showing of Rocky Horror Picture Show at the Alamo Theater. For more information and a full list of activities, you can go to our website, foxbangor.com. Of course, this comes as Fright at the Fort had to be canceled this year, so I think they're really making up for it with a very cool ghost port, although it's annual. Seems like they bolstered it this year.
Yeah, it's a great time too. Fun for young and old, really is.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
And the weather's going to be perfect.
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 Wow, you're really harping on that.
Yeah, can't wait for the weekend.
You're right. Here's right after the break, Jack Webb will have sports.
Don't go away.
Maine's largest network of parts just got a little bigger. Coastal Auto Parts, newest location in Bangor, has all your automotive needs to get you to the moments that matter most. Whether you're a professional mechanic or just need a little help, find everything you need all under one roof. Our knowledgeable staff is here to assist you with friendly service and expert advice right here at 200 Sylvan Road, just off I-95. Drive in, stock up, and hit the road with confidence. Coastal Auto Parts is owned and operated by a Maine family that cares.
It's another exciting year of high school football in the state of Maine. Get out and support your home team and be looking for the ABC7 Sports Blitz crew. You can get a free Sports Blitz t-shirt, then watch Sports Blitz during ABC7 News at 11 every Friday night during the football season. Blitz shirts courtesy of
All That's Metal, Bangor Tire Company, Danforth's Down Home Supermarket, Driveway Maintenance and Paving, Maniac Snack Shack, Overhead Door Company of Bangor, R&R Auto Body, and Twin City Tile.
Me and my co-workers get up and we go into work every day. Yet illegal immigrants in this state are getting things handed to them for free. Jared Golden voted to protect sanctuary cities instead of voting to help his own people. Jared Golden pretends to be a moderate, but he's not. Washington has exposed Jared Golden for what he truly is, a tax and spend, liberal, Democrat. He says one thing and does another.
Strategic Majority PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Hey, good morning, America.
Good morning, America. Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Every day of your life.
Welcome back in, folks. We'll start on the ice where Maine men's ice hockey is hard at work preparing for national rank number 7 Quinnipiac. The Black Bears are currently ranked number 9 in the country, according to the USCHO national poll, which makes this a top 10 matchup at the Alphon this weekend. This is Maine's 3rd consecutive year meeting the Bobcats in October. The teams have split both those games right down the middle, 2-2. Head coach Ben Barr says this will be a great early test for his team.
I think, in practice today that some guys getting frustrated with, making turning pucks over, getting hit, which is good because, we haven't been frustrated that much in the first 2 games. We're going to get frustrated against Quinnipiac because they're really well coached. They're always on the right side of the play. They're not going to make mistakes. So when we have to be able to play our game when it's not a wide open, we have the puck and it's fun all the time.
As for the players, they say they welcome the early test and that it's even sweeter having it be up here at the Alphon.
To have them for our test of our season, to see where our culture's at, it's really important for us. This is a huge weekend. It's probably the biggest weekend we're going to have in the first half. They are a team that plays the same way, no matter the year, no matter the night.
I mean, there's nothing like having the support that we do, and I think that just ups the ante and, gives us juice, and, we build off the environment that, the Alphon brings.
One of many big events up there in Orono for homecoming weekend. We'll head down to Foxborough now to check in with the Patriots coming off their loss to the Houston Texans. In his Monday press conference, Patriot head coach Jerod Mayo praised the rookie QB Drake May, who made his first start on Sunday throwing for 3 touchdowns and 243 yards in the air. However, Mayo mentioned that the run game needs to improve. The Patriots rushed for a total of 82 yards, which will rarely get it done in the NFL. Here's what Mayo had to say about the offense.
And offensively,
we have to make big plays. I thought yesterday overall, Drake did a good job with his reads and getting the ball out. Was it perfect? No. Will he get better? Absolutely. But we got to do a better job, supporting, a rookie quarterback. Yesterday, the run game, something that we've been good at for the majority of the year, was non-existent, and we just got to get back to the basics.
Many were worried about May starting behind the banged-up offensive line, myself included. May was sacked 4 times and took multiple hits both in the pocket and on the run, but Mayo said the young quarterback's toughness impressed him and his staff.
I mean, we knew he could make plays with his legs. We knew he had a good arm and can really push the ball down the field. I would say the thing that was a pleasant surprise, he did take some shots yesterday. I think there were 1 or 2 where he got up a little bit slow, but just his overall toughness, I think, was on display yesterday.
Big one for the Pats against the Jags on Sunday morning. We'll head down to Portland now, where the Maine Mariners will open up the new season this Friday night at home against Wheeling. It'll be a 7:15 start at the Cross Insurance Arena. Along with some other returners, the Mariners will have a familiar face back between the pipes. Brad Antaveras begins his 2nd season in Portland. Brad had a terrific playoff run last year and is hoping to build off that success this season.
It's tremendous. I mean, experience is a lot of this game. To just go into a game and kind of feel like you're prepared and ready to go. That's a major thing. You work all season for that to try and get to that point.
We'll head over to Brewer now, where they're hosting Mount Blue in boys soccer. Mount Blue right here in the white, Brewer in the black. They play a great ball in, but it's Cody Bailey there to clear the ball and eliminate the chance. Coming up next is Nick Godfrey. Nothing really much on this play, just that slick maneuver, but just hits the pass just wide. I love that dribbling right there. Later, it's Caden Smith who bends a free kick, but it just misses that top left corner, and it's Godfrey again right here, receiving the pass, making a move past the defender, but his shot just gets deflected. A late second half goal would be the difference in this one. Brewer would win 1-0. We'll take a look at some other scores around the region. Camden Hills beating Hampton Academy in boys soccer 4-0. Presque Isle with a big 1-0 win over MDI. Waterville edges out MCI, and Herman with a big girls soccer win over MDI. That is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Looking for winter services? There is still time to sign up. The pros at Atlantic Lawn Care and Landscape specialize in snow removal and ice management for commercial and residential properties. They will take care of the snow plowing, snow blowing, shoveling, salting, and sanding. Atlantic now has 2 locations and is accepting new clients in Brewer, Bangor, Vesey, and in town Orono, Brunswick, Topsail, Bath, and surrounding areas. Call for your free estimate or visit our website for customizable services. Local, reliable, and fully insured. Atlantic Lawn Care and Landscape.
I'm Craig Poulin, retired chief of the Maine State Police. My investigations were fact-based with evidence leading to sound conclusions. A sound conclusion on Jared Golden is easily reached. He's on our side. Jared stood against defunding the police and worked with Republicans to strengthen the border. Jared is a Maine sportsman and gun owner who respects and supports the Second Amendment, and he opposes unnecessary and unhelpful gun legislation. Take it from me, Jared Golden is fighting to keep your family safe.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message.
Class-leading safety features at every turn. A Hyundai Tucson.
Lease an all-wheel drive Tucson for $229 a month, or get 1.99% APR, or up to $1,250 bonus cash. See your local Bangor Hyundai.
Here's what you need to know about
No Show Austin Terrio.
Austin Terrio skipped work in the State House, but still took his paycheck.
What a deadbeat.
Now Terrio wants a promotion.
To join Washington politicians?
Trying to cut the Social Security and Medicare benefits that we earned.
I can't afford a cut, and I don't think anybody else can.
I think it's wrong. I earned it by working the years that I worked.
No Show Terrio is not going to work for Maine.
HMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
For 3 years in a row, Chevy has earned more J.D. Power Initial Quality Awards than any other brand. Whether it's a high-tech SUV, the all-electric Equinox EV, or a truck for work or play, Chevy is America's most awarded brand for new vehicle quality. Current qualified lessees can get this all-new 2025 Equinox for around $299 a month. And now introducing the first-ever all-electric Equinox EV.
As temperatures drop, fall colors emerge. Reds, yellows, and of course, Kubota Orange. Forget the greens and make your neighbors orange with envy with a new Kubota tractor from Doors Equipment in Bangor. Get your work done right with Kubota and Doors. From home to farm, from landscaping to construction, the Doors are open to value, quality, and top-notch service. This fall, make them orange with envy at Doors Equipment, Outer Hammond Street, Bangor.
When Rowell's Garage in Dover Foxcroft wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. Rowell's Garage has been serving customers in the greater Dover Foxcroft region since 1946. Our goal is not just selling you a vehicle, but also giving you quality service to maintain your vehicle at peak performance.
I'd be crushed if Joan has stronger feelings for another guy.
To find love and connection, there's nothing like it.
Mark, can I steal you for a second?
Absolutely.
Wow.
What happened?
I don't know.
Welcome back, everyone. I think we have the microphone issues resolved now. A Maine author has collected the stories of 56 of the most inspiring people he has known. People who have been in the public eye, on the battlefield, or in the classroom.
He shares their amazing stories of courage and kindness in his new book called Cherish America. Our Jody Hersey sat down to learn more with him.
If we don't write it down, it is lost.
Robert Charles of Wayne has lived an extraordinary life. He has served as Assistant Secretary of State under Colin Powell and held positions in the Reagan and Bush 41 White Houses. Through those experiences, he has met some incredible people, heroes who did remarkable things for neighbors and complete strangers. So he decided to write about them in his new book, Cherish America, Stories of Courage, Character, and Kindness.
This book essentially is emblematic of the idea that one life touches many lives, and all these lives touched mine.
It took Charles 6 years to write this book that features presidents, veterans, law enforcement officers, teachers, nurses, and many Maine residents. He believes the individuals he wrote about are who they are because of their upbringing.
They lived with a sense of appreciation for hard work. A lot of their lives were defined by faith. We don't talk about God very much, but you know what? Almost everybody in this book quietly is animated by the idea that God played a role in their lives. I'm talking about aviators who should never have survived in battle conditions.
Charles says his book will reignite readers' love for America and the power of the human spirit.
So these stories are about the fact that we, Mainers in particular, but Americans at large, we are other regarding, as the philosophers say. We look out for other people, we look out for each other, and so this book was written in many ways to remind us of our better selves.
In Bangor, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
What an interesting guy.
Yeah, it's so important to read history. Everybody should read more history. All right, the time now is 6:53.
Let's take a look at that forecast.
Our Maine weather this morning is brought to you by Comfort Shoes and More. Need the perfect fit for your new fall footwear? Visit us across from Irving in Newport. All right, let's look at this temperature trend right in it, right? 58 degrees, that's our average high this time of year. Well below average for today, closer to average for tomorrow, and then right back up. Check this out, my friends. Temperatures back in those mid to upper 60s, not only Saturday and Sunday, but even into beginning to middle of next week. So yes, we're looking at a consistent trend of well above average temperatures. It's gonna feel more like summer, right? Beginning of summer with temperatures right around 70 degrees and lots of sunshine. Now the water temperatures, they're not even close to 70 degrees. They're really starting to cool off. 55 right off our coast as well, especially right off Portland. These colors right there indicating some low to mid 50s, but things are going to continue to cool off. Of course, we're in mid-October, we're in Maine, and winter is knocking on our door. Now, overall, though, most of the country is pretty quiet for today. Of course, a couple of showers right down south, closer to Florida and closer to Raleigh as well. We're looking at some lighter showers. Now, the West Coast, they're seeing another low pressure system right here. They're seeing some showers outside, but for the most part, most of the country is pretty quiet. Of course, no severe weather, no nocturnal storms, which is the most important thing not to have, right? Overall, though, good amount of clouds outside in our area. No snow, no rain anytime soon. We're just going to see that sunshine the next several days. Now, of course, the rainfall-wise, though, not much at all. Maybe a few more sprinkles left over or some flurries right up north into Greenville and north of that, right at that border of Canada. Other than that, we are going to be dry, very dry, starting today. Now, the winds are pretty light, right around 5 to 10 miles per hour. 3 mile per hour solid wind here in town. Same story right at the coast in Bar Harbor, but later on this afternoon, they are really going to start to pick up. We're looking at wind gusts right around 20 to even 30 miles per hour in some spots. So definitely a breezy type of day. Overnight, pretty calm. And then tomorrow, once again, just a light breeze. So today's that day where we are going to see those breezy conditions, making it feel a little bit more cooler than the actual 51-degree reading. Now, other than that, partly cloudy skies. So not too bad, right? For tonight, though, cold. I'm saying low 30s outside, frost and freeze. Clear areas of dense fog once again, just a light breeze. For tomorrow, though, much warmer, upper 50s, sunny skies, and just a light breeze out of the west, northwest. Our extended forecast outlook is showing an abundance amount of sunshine the next several days, and temperatures, oh boy, look at that, warming back up into those mid to upper 60s over the weekend.
Caught on video, a runaway inflatable pumpkin attacks a police officer. Police in Bay Village, Ohio released this dash cam video of an officer responding to calls about a giant inflatable pumpkin rolling away in the roadway. It happened Monday in Bay Village, Ohio, as the officer walks towards the 15-foot inflatable pumpkin. It appears to swallow him up as a gust of wind blows through. Moments later, the officer emerges and, with the help of another officer, moves the inflatable display off the roadway. The runaway pumpkin was then returned to the homeowner. The police department said, quote, "Luckily, no officers or pumpkins were harmed during the event."
You never know what you're going to find in the line of duty, right?
Popping that pumpkin. I'll tell you what.
Pumpkin would go bye-bye, huh?
If it's me versus that pumpkin, it's me.
Yeah, what a neat story, though. Hey, that'll do it for now. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. If you want to continue watching, we'll be back up on Fox 22. Have a great day.
If you've been injured in an accident, get Maine's most recognized personal injury law firm working for you today. The law offices of Joe Bornstein, fighting and winning for injured Mainers for nearly 50 years. Selected best lawyers in America for personal injury. Recognized for professional excellence. With more than $500 million collected for injured Mainers and over 25,000 victories for Maine families. Call Joe for a free case evaluation and get the Bornstein Advantage.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Join the SWAT
swab experts at Puritan Medical Products. For more than 100 years, Puritan has been the trusted name in single-use swabs and transport devices.
We have immediate openings for first and second shift seasonal production workers at our Guilford and Pittsfield locations. With competitive wages, holiday pay, and time off, you'll work from September through December with the opportunity to return each season.
Apply today at puritanmedproducts.com/careers or email human resources at puritanmedproducts.com for more info.
Your favorite restaurants for half off. It's half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7. Here's this week's featured deal.
Discover the charm of Warren's Waterfront Restaurant, Bucksport's only waterfront dining. Relax in a cozy atmosphere where every visit feels like home. Indulge in fresh, flavorful dishes paired with stunning river views. Join us at Warren's Waterfront, your perfect escape.
On sale Thursday at 9 a.m. A limited supply available half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Break northwards to the Rock Mount Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, a shooting in Waterville has left one man dead and another behind bars.
Plus, we'll let you know how you can stay safe against a silent killer in your home.
And some real heroes were given a special medal in Eddington last night following a daring rescue last winter.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us. We'll have those stories and all the day's news coming up over the next hour. But first, to check with that forecast, looking like a rather cloudy day ahead today. But don't worry, things are about to brighten up. We'll have several days of sunshine after we get through today, and temperatures will be warming up too.
This weekend looks lovely.
Yeah.
Here's Conrad Sapinski with that forecast.
Our first weather this morning is brought to you by Comfort Shoes and More. Need the perfect fit for your new fall footwear?